Hello everyone, welcome to the Financial Information channel. In this video, I'm going to mention the 5 stocks that I'll be watching during the month of December. But before I start the video, I'm going to put on the screen how the stocks in November perform during November. And it was a great month in November. Let's hope that in December we have the same performance. But now let's start with the video, and I'm going to start with the number 1 stock first and then move down to number 5. Now the number 1 stock is going to be Micron Technologies. That's going to be the first stock that I'll be watching during December. And I mentioned Micron in the top 5 stocks to buy during July. Now you have to understand that memory prices are cyclical, and that means there are certain years where there's going to be more demand than other years. Now Micron controls about 22% of the market share in DRAMs. It is behind Samsung and another Chinese company. And Micron has 13% share of the NAND market share, and that is behind Western Digital, Samsung and Toshiba. Now what I found interesting about Micron, there's a lot of call options that are being placed for the company, and the majority of the call options are between the price of $49, $50 and $55. And what are call options? Are people betting that the company is gonna move up higher in the next few months. And we hear in the Samsung earnings call, there's gonna be tight supply for NAND memory chips. So after hearing those news, the company actually moved up to around 47 to 48 price. However, the company has moved down quite a bit during the last few days. Now Micron for the year has been phenomenal. It has moved up over 100% in 2017. Now the company will report earnings in the next few weeks, and during earnings the company has beaten the EPS 4 out of the last 4 times, and it has beaten the revenue 4 out of the last 4 times, and 3 out of those 4 times the company has moved up in the positive after they report earnings. But now let's take a look at the stock chart to see if the company is overbought or oversold. Now you can see the company actually moved down quite a bit this week. The RSI has become bearish. However, there's support around the 44 price, and there's another support around the 41 price, and another support around the 39 price. If for some reason the company reports bad numbers, we can see the stock price go all the way to $36. The volume has been great, even if the company has sold off during the last few days. Now, one of the many things, the company has a really good forward PE of under $7. That is really cheap if you like to look in the price to earning ratio. And the number 2 company that I'm going to mention is going to be FedEx. Now FedEx has been a really well run company during the last few years. Now in 2015 the company acquired TNT Express, and that company operates in Europe. Now in 2016 FedEx acquired Genco, and Genco is going to be in charge of handling the returns. And I think FedEx has a good opportunity to move up during the next few weeks. And as you can see in the following table, you can see that UPS has a better market cap, and it has a better dividend yield with 2.78%. And the PE ratio is about 28 for UPS, and the price to sale ratio is about 1.57. Now for FedEx, the PE is about 20, and the price to sale ratio is about 0.98. And it doesn't have a huge dividend. It has a 0.83% dividend yield. Now FedEx has moved up over 22% in 2017, and during earnings the company has beaten the EPS 1 out of the last 4 times, and it has beaten the revenue 1 out of the last 4 times, with 3 times having the company be in line with the revenue. Now the stock price has moved up 3 out of those 4 times when the company has reported earnings. And now let's take a look at the stock chart to see how the company is doing in 2017. Now you can see the RSI is a little bit high at this moment. There's a resistance price around the 230, and that's what the price for the stock is at this moment. There's going to be support around the $217, and the volume is starting to pick up during the last few weeks. Now FedEx will report earnings on December. Now as you can see in the forward PE, it is barely over $15, and that is gonna be good news for the company. In terms of price to earning ratio, the company is really cheap. Now let's go to the number 3 company, and that's gonna be CarMax. Now CarMax has a 2-part business. It sells cars to consumers, and it sells cars to different dealers that are gonna be licensed, which is kind of important in my opinion. In addition, CarMax provides consumers with different finance opportunities, and that is basically where the company is gonna move up in 2018. Remember, when we see the government raising the interest hike, it also affects the car dealers. And the reason is CarMax will receive more money from having higher interest rates in the United States. Now in 2017, the company has only gone up over 6%. I mentioned this company in one of the earnings, where the company was at this price and the company started to move up. But now let's take a look at the stock chart to see how the company is doing. Now you can see at this price the company is oversold based on the RSI. There's a resistance around the $77 price, and at this moment we're at the support price, which is around the $68. There's gonna be another support around the $64, and the volume is starting to pick up because the company will report earnings in the next few weeks. Now in terms of price to earning, the company only has a 4P of around $16, and I think this company has a good chance of reporting good earnings, and if that happens, the company is gonna move up quite a bit during the next few weeks. And now for the number 4 company is gonna be another automotive company, and that's gonna be AutoZone. Now AutoZone had really 2 bad earnings during the summer, and the company shares actually moved down quite a huge amount. However, that brought opportunity because the company shares actually moved down over 650 at one point. Now AutoZone is one of the biggest companies that sells car parts to consumers, and the company opened something called Mega House, and that is basically where they're gonna have parts that are really hard to find, and those hubs usually carry around 80,000 to 100,000 parts. And from the earning calls, they have mentioned that those have been really successful, and the good thing, the company is planning for 2018. The company plans to around 10 mega hubs in 2018, and that is going to improve the revenue and the EPS for the company. Now in 2017, the company has been negative. It has moved down over 11%. But now let's take a look at the stock chart to see how the company is doing in 2017. Now at this moment, as you can see, the company RSI is a little bit bullish. It actually moved up quite a bit during the last few days, and at this moment we're at the resistance, which is around the price of 700, and at one point on July the company was under 500. Now if the company doesn't report good earnings, the company is gonna move down around the 640 price and probably fill that gap that is between the 640 to 700. And as you can see, the volume is starting to pick up because the company will report earnings next week. Now in terms of price to earning ratio, the company has a 4P of 13.51, and even though I mentioned earlier the company was around 650 at one point, actually the company was under 500 at one point, and that is basically what happened when the company reported bad earnings during the last 2 quarters, and I think the company will report good earnings during the next few days. However, I would be very cautious because the company has moved up quite a huge amount during the last few days. And the number 5 company is gonna be Costco. Now Costco has a unique business. In order to purchase any groceries or any items, you need to have a membership, and that is basically what drives around 80% of the Costco revenue is through membership. Now one of the biggest mistakes that Costco has done in the past, it hasn't improved the website, so it could improve the e-commerce sales. However, Costco reported around 30% growth in October related to the website, and those are great news if the company plans to fight against Amazon. Now one of the biggest risks, the company has actually decreased the membership count during the last few years. In 2015, the company reported that it added around 4.9 million memberships. In 2016, the company added about 5.4 million members, and in 2017, the company has so far added around 3.6 million, and that is actually far below the numbers that I was expecting. However, we have a few more months in 2017. The good news, the company had reported a really good month in November. In November, the company had reported over 10.8 comp sales. In Canada, it's around 13.8%. And the international comp sales were around 11.1%. And those are great numbers, so the company plans to close the year in a good note. Now Costco so far has been positive, it has gone up over 18%. But now let's take a look at the stock chart to see how the company is moving in 2017. And as you can see, the company actually had a huge move in the last few days. The RSI is a little bit high at this moment. There's a resistance around the 181 price. However, at this moment the company is above that price. Let's see if the company holds at that price. If Costco pulls back, the price is gonna go down all the way to 170, and there is another support around the 160, and the volume is starting to pick up because the company plans to release the earnings in the next few weeks. Now, in terms of price to earning ratio, the company has a forward PE of 26.06, and that is a little bit expensive based on the forward PE because this company is a retail. However, for the short term, I see the company moving up during the next few months. And that is gonna be everything for the video. Please leave in the comment section below which of the following 5 companies are you planning to watch during the month of December. And for me, it's gonna be the number 1 company, which is Micron Technologies, because this company has moved up quite a huge amount during the last few months. I've been waiting for a pullback, so if the company reports great numbers and the share price move down, I'm gonna start buying more shares. And remember, I'm gonna continue making videos about the stock market, personal finance, and how to make money online. I'm going to thank you once again for watching the video. Have an excellent day and take care, my friends.